So today we're going to cover Form 17, the seller disclosure. So you'll notice the seller disclosure version is only a few months old. It's November right now, and this was updated in August. The reason I want to show you the full page view is this is a 6-page document full of a bunch of questions that your customer may not recognize some of the meanings of the words. And so I like to actually fill this thing out over the phone with them, because if I leave them to their own devices, it could take them a couple hours to work through this thing. But if we do it together, we can usually get it done in 30 to 40 minutes. And it's because I can paraphrase some of the questions into words that they would recognize. So I'm going to go through it as if I were going through it with a customer and filling it out with them. And I'll even include what I say at the very beginning. So here we go. So we're going to go through this seller disclosure. It's actually illegal for me to fill it out. It has to be your answers, but I can check the boxes for you. So I'm going to go through with you and go through these questions, but these need to be your answers. Here's the basic rule of thumb that you want to follow, which is don't guess. There's no benefit to guessing. So if you don't know the answer black and white, like you know it with certainty, one of your choices is to say, I don't know. So let's check that box rather than guess. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, great. So let's dive in. So do you currently occupy the property? Yes or no? You will typically already know the answer to that, and you will fill it out. The title is where most of the paraphrasing happens. So this is where I'd say, okay, do you have the legal authority to sell the property? Yes. Is the property subject to any of the following? A right of first refusal, an option, a lease or rental agreement, or a life estate? And I list them all in the same breath so that they can say yes if there is any of those things. And then if they do say yes, we'll dig into it. But the vast majority of consumers don't have any of those in force against their property. Are you aware of any encroachments, boundary agreements, or boundary disputes? Notice I said, are you aware of? They're asking, are there any? Most people are going to say, not that I know of, right? Is there a private road easement agreement for access? Do you have a shared driveway? Something like that? No. Yes, maybe we do. Notice that there's an asterisk next to some of these letters. If there's an asterisk, that means that you have to explain what your answer means, right? So if I said, yes, there is a private road maintenance agreement, I would then go to page 5. There's a big blank box, right? And I would say, regarding question 1D or whatever it was, I share my driveway with my neighbor. We recorded agreement or whatever, right? So that's how you're going to elaborate when you answer yes to one of these questions. In this video, I'm not going to answer yes to any more questions. All right. Okay. So any written agreements for maintenance of the right of way? They'll typically say no to that, right? Has there been a survey done? That's all I say. Has there been a survey done? They will say, I don't know, in most cases. Are there any special assessments pending against the property? No. Any zoning violations? No. You can see why it goes faster, right? Is there a boundary survey for the property? That'll sound kind of redundant to them, and they'll probably still say, I don't know, or no. Are there any CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions? If they live in a development, the answer is probably yes. There are many neighborhoods where they aren't in a development, but they still have CC&Rs. Because a lot of the platting that was done 100 years ago or 75 years ago, they would have rules that said you can only build houses in this area, right? No commercial or whatever. So they did the zoning sort of restrictions through covenants, conditions, and restrictions. But in most cases, the consumer's not going to know. Water. Well, we're on public water, right? If shared, are there any written agreements? No, I don't know, whatever. Is there an easement for access and or maintenance? Probably don't know. Are there any problems or repairs needed? Hopefully no. During your ownership, has it provided year-round source of water? This is one where you can say yes, and there is not an asterisk, so there's no further explanation needed. Are there any water treatment systems on the property? Some people have filtration or things like that. So you would say yes if they did and no if they don't. And if they do have one, is it leased or owned? Are there any water rights for the property associated with a permit, certificate, or claim? Most people don't even know what that is. Notice it says if yes. Anytime it says if yes, if you didn't say yes, you want to say NA. Are there any defects with the water system? No. Irrigation water. Most people are going to say we don't have that, right? Irrigation means water that is brought in through irrigation systems and or canals, usually for watering fields, right? So now we said no to that. And then we're going to have 3 NAs because we said no. Does a property receive irrigation water from a ditch or company? Blah, blah, blah. No. Do you have a sprinkler system? No. If yes, then NA, right? Sewer and on-site sewage. On-site sewage is septic. So if you're on a property that's connected to the sewer, great. Then you don't have a septic system. There's a number of questions relating to the septic system that you're going to be able to say not applicable, right? If a public sewer system service is available, is the house connected to the main? That's probably a yes if you're on public sewer, right? What they're asking is for those homes that maybe are near sewer but don't have a connection yet because they didn't want to pay for it. If no, please explain. So if the answer was no, you'd say there's a sewer line in the street on 148th, but we're not connected to it or whatever, right? Is the property subject to any sewage system fees? That would be like the connection charge for a lot of counties will be amortized over 15 years. And so they'll have a sewer assessment charge once a year for 15 years. If they don't know, don't coach them on that. Just say, are you aware of any additional fees outside of the monthly fees? No, I'm not aware of that. Okay, great. If the property is connected to on-site sewage, so we're going to say NA. When was it last pumped? NA. Are there any defects? NA. When was it last inspected? NA. How many bedrooms is it equipped for? Now, question E applies to both sewer and septic. Are all plumbing fixtures, including laundry drain, connected to the sewer/on-site sewage system? Yes. Have there been any changes or repairs to the on-site sewage? NA. Is the on-site sewage included, drain field included on the property? NA. Does the on-site sewage, like I don't even have to read the rest of it, right? If it's on-site sewage, it's NA. Has a roof leaked? Hopefully they say no. Is the basement flooded or leaked? If they don't have a basement, you're going to say NA. A lot of the homes in the Northwest don't have basements, they have crawl spaces. Homes in Seattle, a lot of those do have a basement. So you would say yes, no, or don't know, or NA. Have there been any conversions or remodeling? This one you want to kind of not ask leading questions, right? So it's, let's pretend that the guy did some remodeling and he did it unpermitted. So has there been any conversions, additions, or remodeling? He's going to say yes. If yes, were all building permits obtained? He's going to say no. Now we have an asterisk, right, for question C. And so we're going to have to go to that other page and explain. And what we would explain is there weren't any permits required, right? So if yes, were all final permits obtained, that's NA because we didn't get any permits. Do you know the age of the house? Typically that's yes. And they'll tell you, yeah, it was built in 1962 or whatever. Has there been any slippage, sliding, or settling? No. Are there any defects with any of the following? And what I do is I go, I'm going to read this whole list off. You stop me if I hit something where there's a defect. And I just go foundations, chimneys, doors, ceilings, pools, sidewalk. And I go through the whole list and hopefully they say no. If they say yes, then we're going to have to explain it on page 5, right? Was there a whole house inspection done? Pest or whole house inspection done? They'll go, I don't know. When you bought it, did you do one? Yeah. Oh yeah, we did. Okay, great. Then we're going to say yes. And you bought it in, March of 2012. Do you remember the name of the company? No. Can you look it up? No. Okay, then we'll just put don't remember. During your ownership, have you had any wood destroying organisms or pest infestation? No. Is the attic insulated? Yes. Is the basement insulated? There isn't a basement in my example, so we're going to say NA. If any of the systems are included in the transfer, are there any defects? Electrical? No. Plumbing? No. Hot water tank? No. Garbage disposal? No. Appliances? No. Sump pump? Maybe that's NA. There isn't one. Heating and cooling system? No defects. Security system? Maybe it's NA. Maybe it's not because we have one, but it's not defective. But if we have one, we then need to say, do you own it or you lease it, right? So we could say leased. Under other, check NA. You don't want to have any question that doesn't have an answer. If any of the following fixtures are included with the property, are they leased? In our example, yeah. We said the security system was leased. Tanks, no. Satellite dish, maybe we don't have one. Maybe we do and it's not leased. But NA could be the possible answer. Do you have any of the following wood burning appliances at the property? We don't have a wood stove. We do have a fireplace insert. We don't have a pellet stove and we don't have a fireplace. Maybe you don't have an insert, but you do have a fireplace, right? That could be a scenario. Depends on what they have. If yes, are they certified by the EPA? Most people are going to go, I have no idea. Is the property located within a fire district? That's should always be yes, right? But maybe it's not. Maybe you're out in the middle of nowhere. Is the property equipped with carbon monoxide detectors? No matter what they answer, carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, you need to say yes, and you need to tell them if they don't have them, they have to get them because that is required by state and federal law, right? Does the property have internet service? That's one of the updates from August of 21. They're going to hopefully say yes. They're going to tell you who they have it through, right? Or Xfinity or whatever. Wave. Does it have an HOA? It either does or it doesn't. If it doesn't, then we got NA for all the HOA stuff, right? If it's yes, we have an HOA, then they want to know, do you know the name of it? And then you type that in. Are there periodic assessments? Then the answer would be yes, because we pay, $35 a month or $280 a month or $400 a year, whatever it is, right? My home, we live in a development and we pay like $400 a year for maintenance of the common areas, right? Are there any special assessments? Hopefully the answer there is no. Are there any shared or common areas? Yep, mine there is, right? My example. Environmental, has there been any flooding? No. Does any part of the property contain fill dirt? They're probably going to say, I don't know. Is the material damage to the, has there been material damage to the property from fire, wind, floods, beach movements, basically acts of God, right? The answer is no. Do you have any wetlands on the property? No. Remember, a lot of times they start answering about neighboring areas or other close proximity to their property. These are all about their property, right? Anything environmentally concerning like asbestos, formaldehyde, radon gas, lead-based paint, more often than not, they're going to say no. If you know that they're in a home that's older than 1978, you should encourage them to say don't know, because there is actually a better chance that they have lead-based paint in their home somewhere. Has the property been used for commercial or industrial purposes? No. Is there soil or groundwater contamination? Probably no, maybe don't know, right? Are there transmission poles or other electrical utility equipment installed or buried on the property that do not provide service to the property, right? So you might have a phone box on your parcel that serves the neighborhood. Well, then you'd have to say yes. Has the property ever been used for an illegal dumping site? No. Has the property ever been used for an illegal drug manufacturing site? No. We giggle at that one, right? I'll look at them funny and go, are you sure? Are you being honest, right? Hopefully you've got good rapport with your client, right? Are there any radio towers in the area that cause interference with cell reception? That's the only question that's referring to not on the property. The towers can be in proximity to the property, but if they affect the user of a cell phone on the property, then that's what they're asking them, right? But usually it's no. Properties built before 1978, seller typically going to say, I have no knowledge and I have no reports. If it's not built before 78, then you leave those blank. It's not applicable, right? If it's not a mobile home, you're going to say NA to all of that. And then I always end it with, okay, I've asked you a lot of questions. This last question is basically to ask if I missed anything, you know, because sometimes you might have had something in your head that you wanted to disclose, but I never asked you the direct question about it. And that is, are there any other material defects affecting the property that a prospective buyer should know about? And most of the time they're going to say no, right? So you're coaching them not to guess. It's understood they're not going to lie. And then you're going to explain anything that had an asterisk next to it down here at the bottom of page 5. And then they initial every page, but they sign page 5. If I go back out here to the full page view, go up to page 1, right? Initials on page 1, initials on page 2, page 3, page 4. Page 5 is a full signature, and then an initial on page 6. And 6 is where the buyer signs. And that's it. So you can get through all this in about 30 minutes, maybe 45 at the most, especially if you have an inquisitive consumer. But go at their pace. You know, I went kind of fast, so you're not going to do that. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me, all right? Take care.